Hi, this is the Minister of Goblin Affairs, here detailing Area 1 of Locale 1 of the South Region of Calthis. This is the area that we're going to use for the playtest as the faction's home. As this is an area scale map, it is 18,000 feet from face to face, which is about 3.5 miles. Takes an hour to cross. You can further break that crosswise distance down into 6 zones, which each take 10 minutes to cross. Here I'm outlining all the spots that you can see on the locale scale map. That's the one that takes a day to cross. This just tells me where the mountains and where the ridges are, where the rivers are, where the hills are, and the like. Just tracing it down. I'll change it a little bit as we're zooming in, but for now, we just need the rough outline from the previous map. I don't expect the players to be spending much time in this particular area, but it's nice to have going forward, especially during the initial play tests. It's unlikely that we're really going to be focusing on this. We're likely going to be using the locale map from the previous video, but for just for purposes, let's say down the line, we're continuing on with this same faction for playtesting, and they want to try out the building system, and they want to build a tower or a home or something like that in this area. It would be nice to have it for that. And maybe as we go on through eras, maybe a village or a town or even a city will grow up in this area. Now that we've got the rough outlines of everything, I'm going to start thickening everything up and adding some more details and adding some color so I don't get lost as to what everything is. Don't want to be starting to decide something that's a river is actually a mountain ridge. Just keep everything clear and delineated. Just as it's unnecessary to map out every locale in a region map, it is certainly unnecessary to map out every area in a locale map. That would be an incredible amount of work for a very little payoff. But if you keep playing the same locale over and over again, and your players go to different areas all the time, and you have to map them out for one reason or another, maybe eventually you'll have a full locale mapped by the area. Now that the wider details are put in, time to start putting in some finer details where some rivers that don't appear on the locale scale map are, patches of forest that aren't forest, clearings and the like, and maybe some smaller hills here and there. For those of you who don't know, rivers are almost always sourced from snowmelt from mountains or underground runoff from higher places. So make sure that your rivers are coming down from the mountains. They'll always be flowing away from them towards the sea. They also rarely ever diverge. It does occasionally happen, depending on the circumstances, but usually they converge in the direction that they're flowing, making a Y. Um, if you don't care, then you don't have to worry about that. With all the outlining done, it's time to shade everything in. You don't have to color everything in your maps if you don't want to. I like to have the colors to keep everything clearly what is what, but if you find it clear enough just to have the color outlines or even no color outlines at all, that's perfectly fine. Just as all other maps in Goblin Tales, just because a subhex is all dark green doesn't necessarily mean that it's all forest. There could be some clearings in there, some smaller streams or creeks that we don't see on the larger scale that you'll see if you zoom in further. These darker patches here are hills. They're not necessarily one hill at this scale, but a grouping of hills, or maybe it is one large hill. That's kind of up to you, but I'm just shading them in a little bit darker, kind of a little tricky to tell. You might want to use a completely different color to denote a hill or do some kind of pattern, maybe crosshatches, or as you're shading in, shade the flatlands in, going from top left to bottom right, and then do the opposite uh, top right to bottom left if you want to have those denoted. This zone right here, which is what the larger subhexes are called, is going to be the location of the player's faction's home caves. At some point, I will probably detail that particular zone, and then maybe even down from the zone to a site for the caves themselves. But for now, this has been the Minister of Goblin Affairs. Hope to catch you on the next video.